What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Group Chat Football Live. I'm Peter Ariz alongside D Money, and this is our daily national college football show. We talk the biggest news in college football, recruiting, transfer news, coaching movement, and everything in between. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this content. So today we are looking at the top 5 newcomers we're excited about at Notre Dame, a program with a lot of change this offseason, coming off a phenomenal year under head coach Marcus Freeman. But you're losing your quarterback, losing some coaches, some pivotal guys on the offensive line, although we know that that's a loaded group, so we're not worried about that offensive line for Notre Dame. But again, lots of comings and goings, only 6 transfers incoming. As look, Notre Dame's not a program that necessarily relies on the portal, but we'll get into these newcomers we're excited about, starting with a transfer, Malachi Fields, wide receiver from Virginia, big body, and someone who down the field, look, if he's one-on-one with someone, he's probably going to haul it in.
Yeah, this is someone that Notre Dame fans know well, right? Their top-ranked pass defense went against Malachi Fields in November. 4 catches, 80 yards, was able to get downfield, had a nice 38-yard catch on Christian Gray. Maybe it was a questionable call, who knows? But he did a lot of that over his time at Virginia, 808 yards last year, 811 yards the year before that, over 14 yards per catch both years, 5 touchdowns each year. This is someone that if you look over the past 2 seasons has the 3rd most receiving yards in the ACC, 6'4", 220, kind of like a pure Cavalier in many ways. He went to Monticello High School from Charlottesville, but ends up now finishing his career at Notre Dame. I think it's a good fit when you're talking about being able to do this and make plays down the field. You now have a lot of options at receiver, which is something we haven't said about Notre Dame in the past with the emergence of Great House, guys like Face and guys that can make plays. This is someone who brings a different dimension. I think overall the receiving core is physical, but just with the height and the ability to make these spectacular catches downfield, Fields adds a different element to the team, along with being a team captain, a veteran, a smart kid, someone who really fits in with the culture and is not going to come in there, screaming, hey, I need the ball all the time. This guy stinks. He missed me. He's going to bring a mature attitude to the room, which if you're Notre Dame, you're going to be more selective in your transfers. They're more selective in their recruits. They're more selective in who they bring into the culture. I think Malachi Fields fits like a glove.
Yeah, without a doubt. And it's that big body aspect to him, I think, is going to create a lot of mismatches down the field. And we'll see. Obviously, we don't know who the quarterback's going to be for Notre Dame just yet, but should be an exciting battle to watch. Now, we're going to get into the rest of these guys on the list are high school recruits, right? So when we were prepping for the show yesterday, I texted you, man, Notre Dame has some guys coming in. This group of players that are going to be freshmen here that we're going to talk about, I was absolutely blown away with. And we'll start with Madden Faraimo, linebacker. And this is a guy who's from Orange County, 6'3", 230. I mean, you see the picture of him here. He looks like an NFL backer already. And his fluid movement, as I'll pull up in his huddle here, his violent play, there's nothing that this guy can't do at the linebacker spot.
Yeah, this guy, he really should be in a Marvel movie. You've seen his hair when he takes the helmet off. He looks like Roman Reigns. Maybe he'll be in the WWE after his NFL career. 6'3", 230, Orange County, California, number 3 linebacker nationally, originally from San Diego. I love the athletic background, safety, right? So you can see the fluid movement skills you talked about. Also a good baseball player. His sister was an incredible softball player for UCLA, 4-time All-America. So yes, the size, the physicality, the ability to blow up blockers, he has all that. But then look at that. I mean, look how smooth that back pedal is. And then
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's a safety right there, right? Yeah. So he punishes someone trying to tackle them at the end. He's here early, right? There's going to be a lot of comparisons to Kingston, to KVA. But, man, I think this guy can come in. I saw Notre Dame website, thought he could be one of the top 5 linebackers right away. I mean, Notre Dame's loaded, so maybe that makes sense. But, man, I think in pretty much most teams, this guy'd be a candidate to come in and start year one. When you look at how physically ready, the fact that the passing game's not going to be overwhelming for him, the fact that he comes from a great program at Junipero Serra, I think he could be a really, really excellent player. right away.
Yeah, and rankings wise, someone who the composite has him as the number 66 player in the country. 247 has him as the 86th player overall, number 3 linebacker in the country, and the composite number 5 player in California. So, I mean, look, again, to me, looks like a top 50 type player in the country, but man, instant impact without a doubt on special teams to me.
Yeah, that for sure. Look at the sideline. You see the big club on his hand. There's some workout buzz here, so we're going to get to some quotes from 247 about what he's done since he's been on campus and what they thought when they signed him, kind of inside the building there in South Bend. So here's the workout buzz because he's already on campus working out. Despite a brace on his wrist, as Madden Faraimo recovers from his second fracture in 2 years. That's the brace you see in the highlights. The first thing that stood out about the California linebacker in practice was his physicality. In an era of hybrid linebackers who love running to sideline but don't necessarily love to meet running backs in the hole, the 6'2", 220-pound Faraimo plays with a throwback mentality. And look, this is somebody who is also a safety. So he has both. And then they say he'll be afforded every opportunity to win the number 5 linebacker role this season. That's 247 since he's been on campus. When he signed, they spoke to someone in the building at Notre Dame, someone on staff, and the word was, we believe he's the best linebacker in the country. Breaking down all the linebackers, this is a guy who's 6'3", 220, physical as heck, instinctive, fearless, not afraid of contact. One of the best block destructing linebackers we've seen in years. You see that on the highlights. He's versatile. He can blitz, cover, and play stack backer. So a lot of praise for him. You can see that the clips. Seems just to me your classic Notre Dame linebacker. He's very big on his faith. He's very, he comes from a great program. He's used to hard work, athletic family. If he stays healthy, protects that wrist, just stays healthy, I think you're going to see this guy in the NFL and going to be a long-time starter for the Fighting Irish.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with the staff member who said he's the best linebacker in the country based on the guys that I've watched, between that physical profile, the athletic background, and then you just watch the tape. Looks like a very, very impressive player. So Keeping it on this high school class, we will go to a tight end, James Flanigan, a top 10 consensus tight end in the country. Some would say closer to a top 5 tight end, number 1 player in the state of Wisconsin. And I'll pull up the tape here in just a second, but looks like your typical Notre Dame complete tight end. You watch a lot of these young tight ends coming out of high school, and you see them getting down the field vertically, making plays in the passing game, but not all of them are willing to get their nose dirty in the blocking game, and not all of them have the frame to be physical in the run game. This is someone in James Flanigan that, without a doubt, looks like he's going to be ready to play almost immediately.
Yeah, when you talk about him, I think bloodlines, athletic background, and then the blocking. Those are the 3 things that kind of stand out. 6'4.5", 235. So the size is there. He's probably bigger by now. Coming out of Notre Dame.
Junior highlights too, by the way, I believe so.
So he's coming out of Notre Dame Academy. Fittingly enough, Notre Dame Academy in Green Bay, Wisconsin. He is just a big time blocker. You see him running routes here, and he has the ability to be a receiver. Very good balance after the catch. You see him running people over here. But, you think of guys like Colson Loveland or Elijah Arroyo, potential first rounders in this year's draft. I don't know if at this stage of his career, he has that kind of fluidity and receiving skill. But what he has is the ability to be a good receiver and then also just maul people and strike people in line. You look at the athletic background. Won a state title in the discus as a 10th grader. Also finished with the silver medal in the shot put. He personal best 177.10 in the discus, 52.7 in the shot put, 6 in the high jump. So he's explosive throwing and he's explosive through the legs, jumping. 25.67 and 217.3 in the long jump. Also a second line winger for the hockey team that went 28-0, had 9 points, 3 goals, 6 assists. So that's the athletic background. You look at the bloodlines. His dad, Jim Flanigan, was a 3rd round pick by the Bears, played defensive line at Notre Dame, was the man of the year in 2000, 46 sacks in his career. That's NFL sacks across 10 seasons, 11 in 1995. Then his grandfather, Jim Flanigan, 1967 second round pick by the Packers, played at Pitt, played 4 seasons for Green Bay, won a Super Bowl. So, I mean, pretty good bloodlines going back 2 generations. A 3rd generation football player, potentially a 3rd generation NFL player. And I think what you see right here in this clip, driving the defender backwards and finishing the block. I think that's what's going to get him on the field early for Notre Dame.
Yeah, without a doubt. And again, it just looks like your classic Notre Dame tight end. So it continues, that pipeline continues to be strong there. Again, like I said, Notre Dame Academy. So would have been a tough one to lose there in Wisconsin. But keep it moving here. Another high school prospect here, JaDon Blair, safety, who I think looks like someone who might grow into a linebacker here. 6'4". I mean, he's gonna be getting over that 200-pound mark pretty soon, I'd imagine. He arrived at 195, but as you see here with his frame, as I'll pull up in just a second, everyone's going to immediately say Kyle Hamilton, right? Notre Dame safety, who's one of the best in the league now with the Ravens because of the size. And may not be all that far off, although I think he might be able to put on a little bit more weight than that.
Yeah, I kind of lean more towards safety with him. I see the Kyle Hamilton comparison. He was a receiver, also in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, also played basketball. His father was a defensive lineman at East Carolina, played in the NFL, number 13 safety in the country. But I could see safety. So you look at some of the buzz. These are from people that have seen him since he's arrived in Notre Dame. He's already on campus, already working out. The buzz is he measured in at a true 6'5", 195. So he's under 200. Which I think is important. But 6'5", measuring in there at Notre Dame. This is, again, he's already on campus. This is from a report since he's enrolled. He played scout team wide receiver, and they thought that the way he played scout team wide receiver and the way he's attacked the weight room will earn him opportunities in spring at safety, right? So he's playing wide receiver on scout team to get the team ready for the playoff, but more likely to be a safety at the next level, certainly be a defensive player. And one quote from the folks who were interviewed from Notre Dame, they said, another freak athlete. This is a 247 quote, again, talking to the coaches. Another freak athlete. He's been on campus and everyone looks at him like he's the next Kyle Hamilton. He's impressing the current players, which is big. They say he's 6'4" here. Again, another report says he's 6'5", a freaky mover, and he clearly belongs. His offensive tape has helped him with ball skills on defense. He's a freak. We've seen, Pete, being here based in Florida, we've seen, I think, a few of these highly rated blue chip kind of 6'4", 6'5" guys, right? We had, Ray Armstrong coming out of Sanford Seminole, about the same size as Blair, ended up playing safety for the University of Miami, not really fitting, I don't think, as a safety, ends up going undrafted, moving to linebacker. I believe he played 8 years plus in the NFL as a linebacker. So he made the transition to the pros and was really not where he should have been as a safety here. James Williams, 5-star, a similar story. Played linebacker played safety for Miami 3 years as a 6'5", 200-pound safety coming out. Actually bigger than Blair as far as weight. Ends up moving to linebacker in the pros. Started this year for the Texans, was a 6th-round pick. But at linebacker, the flip would be someone like Pat Watkins, who's a 6'5" safety, went to FSU, 5-star player. Ended up making it to the NFL as a safety with the Cowboys. Bounced around a couple of years, but was a very good safety for the Seminoles in college. So I think he's much more towards the Pat Watkins, where he'll be a safety at the college level and a good one. And best case scenario, you don't have to go to Florida. You could stay right there in South Bend as a Kyle Hamilton type comp.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, these body types that we're looking at here are players that have a very high projectable NFL type ceiling, I believe. And that's when you're recruiting, you don't want to just go after the biggest guys, but that's part of the game. So you see that here with Notre Dame.
And by the way, everybody we just went through, all those tall safeties that were highly recruited, whether they, again, there were some growing pains in terms of figuring out position they went, whether they end up in linebacker or safety, all of those guys ended up in the NFL playing, right? So, whether you think it's unusual to have a 6'5" safety, all of those guys found either at safety or at linebacker, they found their way to the National Football League, playing in the National Football League.
Yeah, and I think it's all about the role, obviously, that the defensive coordinator plays them in, right? They're obviously going to have some limitations in coverage because of their size, but if you can put them in the right spots, it could be a huge weapon from a versatility standpoint and masking looks defensively. So every team wants guys that look like that in today's game of football. It's funny though, D, because we're just talking about how, the size of some of these guys. This last player here who you're a huge fan of, the biggest knock on him is that he's not the biggest in the world as an interior lineman. So probably going to be a center. So it's not going to be the end of the world. But that's freshman interior lineman Cameron Herron. He was a 4-star recruit on the composite and 247's rankings. And man, you talk about someone who's got some quick feet, which if you're going to be sub 300 in the trenches, you've got to be able to bring something else to the table. And he definitely does that.
And I think he'll get over 300 eventually. He came in at 6'2", 288, which was heavier than Notre Dame expected, from Indianapolis, Indiana, Warren Central High School, number 18 interior offensive lineman in the country. I think he's probably better than that. Notre Dame keeps him away from the other Big Ten schools, or from the Big Ten schools, and keeps him at Notre Dame. You look at the explosiveness of this guy. He's got incredible feet. You see him playing center. You see him playing guard. You see him playing tackle. His footwork immediately stands out. Just the twitch and life he has in his feet, his toughness, his ability to get low and not just maintain, but strike, right? He's not just going to out-technique you. He's going to pop you back with that fast twitch striking ability and that willingness to hit. Just the ability to drive his legs, keep driving his feet, pumping his feet. He has that. He has the demeanor that you want at center. And you look at some of the quotes about him. Here's one quote from him already on campus, right? So now he's been on campus and someone's from talking to 247 about what he's been showing in workouts. One word that has come up multiple times for the violent lineman is underrated, as the Irish staff believes Herron is going to be, in the words of one source, really bad word, good in the next couple of years. Notre Dame doesn't need Herron right away if starter Ashton Kreck can stay healthy, or former left tackle Anthony Knapp proves to be the best option there. So the freshman will have plenty of runway to continue to reform his body. Yeah, you got plenty of depth at center for Notre Dame. So I think this is more of a long-term play, but someone who could develop into a true NFL impact kind of guy. And that was my words. Another quote here from the Notre Dame when they signed him. They said, we've been monitoring him closely for 3 years. We always knew we wanted him, but weren't sure if we were going to take a center. Once we wanted to, he was our guy. It was a no-brainer. He's a freaky mover as an interior lineman. Mentioning he has long arms, 35-inch arms, which makes up for any height deficiencies. We think he has the quickest feet in the country. He lives in the weight room, as you can see, from going from 270 to 288 before he enrolled. He's only going to get better during his time here. So I think this is one, maybe the other guys we could probably see playing earlier, right? As far as like a Blair,
Flanigan, Faraimo.
You can see those guys playing some form or fashion this year. Whereas, here with Herron, maybe a red shirt. But I think down the road, this guy gets up to 310 pounds of muscle with the technique and the coaching you get at Notre Dame. I think you're talking about a first-round pick. Look at the finish there, man. Don't stand on the sidelines with this guy. He'll knock it right through you. He'll block 5 guys at once.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, look, if he stays in that weight room and stays in the nutritional program, it should be easy for him to get where he needs to get to. And it's that compact quickness and strength that's going to be the difference for him.
The balance. I mean, look at him. He never looks out of control. He just looks like an athlete in everything he does. You could see why they said he had the best feet in the country. I mean, look at how quick that pool is. He's a mean guy. I think redshirt freshman, redshirt sophomore, this guy's going to be an impact player.
All right, Notre Dame fans, if you enjoyed this video, we have a lot more content just like this already up on our page and coming here in the spring, as we'll keep you guys covered all spring practice long, looking at not only these newcomers, but breakout stars, people who have really impressed over spring practice. So keep it locked here over the next few months here. We'll have you covered on Group Chat Sports. This is Group Chat Football Live. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Thank you all for watching today.